Lesson 119, the quadratic formula. In the previous lesson, we learned how to complete the square to solve a quadratic equation. This method requires several steps and is time-consuming. There is a better, faster way, but it requires the use of a memorized formula. So in order to get to the formula, first we have to identify the parts of the quadratic equation. And those parts are the coefficient that goes with x squared, we call that a. The coefficient that goes with x, we call that b. And then we have c, which is a whole number by itself, or a whole value. It could even be a fraction, but it does not have an x variable with it. And that equals 0. That is the format of the quadratic equation. And so what we're going to do is learn to recognize these values as constants and sub in whatever is placed in these positions into the quadratic formula. This is the quadratic formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a quadratic equation, and we are going to learn how to substitute a, b, and c in where necessary. Okay? If you look, you can see 2 b's, 2 a's, and 1 c. So let's get a quadratic equation so that we can learn how to sub it in. Right, so here we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 7 equals 0. Right, so this is our A, this is our B, and this is our C. You see that? So now we're going to sub it into our equation. X equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7 all over 2 times 3. Okay, so that is, we just subbed in all of these numbers into our quadratic formula. And then all we have to do now is solve. So let's do that. We have x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of, this is going to be 4 minus, and we have 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times a negative 7 is going to give us a negative 84. Negative 84 minus negative 84 means to plus an 84, because that is the opposite, all over 6. Okay? So now we are going to, let's move over here for the sake of space. We're going to say x minus is equal to negative 2 plus or minus, and we're going to add the 4 and the 84 together. That's going to be the square root of 88 over 6. X equals, we can pull out 4 times 22. So the square root of 4 is 2. So negative 2 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 22 over 6. And then we can simplify that by saying, all right, dividing this by 2, we can get negative 1 plus or minus square root of 22, because the 1 is imaginary right there, over 3. And that is our answer. It's a little bit faster than completing the square. It's fewer steps for sure. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Much faster than completing the square. So let's try this again. You're going to want to take this down in your notes. This is the coefficient map. It tells you which coefficients to put where, and this is the formula. So A goes in here and here, B goes in here and here, and C only goes in here. All right, so let's do another one. I think I'm just going to erase all of this. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and write this over here a little bit out of the way so that I can make room. Go ahead and take the opportunity to write this in your back of your notebook with your other formulas, because this is something that you're just going to have to memorize. It's not something that you can work out each time. You just need to memorize this. All right, so there's all of that. All right, here we go. I'm going to write in red. All right, that was example 119.1. This is 119.2. So our quadratic equation is x squared minus x and minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so remember, when we have a variable by itself, there's actually a 1 there, right? So our A, B, and our C, you always keep the positive or negative sign with your coefficient. So let's fill out our formula. X is equal to negative 1 is going to be positive 1, plus or minus square root negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1 and negative 6 all over 2 times 1. Okay, so next step, we're going to resolve what's under our radical first. So 1 plus or minus, here's our radical, and this will just be 2 down here because 2 times 1 is 2. All right, so negative 1 squared is positive 1. Okay, so positive 1. And then we have 1 times negative 6, so that's just negative 6. Negative 4 times negative 6 is going to be a positive 24. 1 plus 24 is going to be 25. And the square root of 25, we have x equals, that'll be 5, 1 plus or minus 5 over 2. Okay, and we can solve this. X is equal to 1 plus 5 over 2, that's 6 over 2, so x is equal to 3, and x is equal to 1 minus 5 over 2, that's negative 4 divided by 2, so x is equal to negative 2. And those are our answers. That was much faster than completing the square. We got there very quickly. Okay. Be sure to write this down together so you know exactly where to get this and how to put it together. This is the quadratic formula. Right? Let's do 119.3. All right, and that is, we're given negative x equals 7 minus x squared. All right, so we have to rearrange this a little bit. So we are going to subtract 7 and add x squared to both sides. So minus 7 plus x squared. This cancels off of here. let's rearrange this so that it's in the proper format. So we have x squared minus x minus 7 equals 0. Now we have our A, our B, and our C. So let's put that into our quadratic formula. That equals -1 plus or minus the square root of -1 squared minus 4 times 1 times -7. Okay? All over 2 times 1. All right, now we can resolve what's in our radical. X equals -1 plus or minus, let's see, here's our radical sign, and that's going to be over 2 because 2 times 1 is 2. So that's going to be a +1, and this is going to be a -20, no, this is going to be a +28. So a +1 and a +28 is going to be 29. Let me take off this excess right here. We don't need all of that. And we can't go any further with that. So that's our answer. That's as far as we can go. So you can see how quickly we can solve using the quadratic formula. I mean, we were able to do it in 1-2 steps this time because we couldn't resolve the radical. So that's all you have to do in order to do this. And that's all I have for lesson 119. That is it. So I will see you in our final lesson, lesson number 120. Congratulations. One more and we are done for the year.